McCook Lake is actually an oxbow lake off of the Missouri River. That means that this lake used to be the river, and over time river courses change, and the river course did change and left us with this oxbow lake. So that's why it kind of looks like a river in many locations. So 150 years ago, when Lewis and Clark came through, they came through this route. Right now, to fill this oxbow lake, because of the river channelization, McCook Lake wasn't filling on its own. So for over 50 years, people have been pumping water into the lake in order to get water in the lake every year. So we have a permit with the Army Corps of Engineers to pump water from the Missouri River into McCook Lake. This year, we had a hard time getting to our normal fill level just because of the drought. Our pump capacity is maxed out. Our pipeline capacity is maxed out, and so it took until August when we finally got some rains to actually bring the lake up to the level that we normally pump to. So that was, it took a while.
And so then could you tell us about the proposal for the canal as you understand it?
Sure. The canal is proposed to go in at the south end of the lake, where in the 1980s they actually constructed a dam at the end of the lake. The Isaac Walton League had dredged the lake for many years to make it a more usable place to be, and they put probably $10 million into the lake doing so over the years. But when the dredge was down at that part of the lake, they ran into sand and gravel ground, which basically were acting as drains to the lake. So the location of the dam was built kind of because of the soil conditions that they were running into with the dredge, and they just couldn't support that because they were acting as drains to the lake. So that's why they stopped where they did. This proposed canal cuts into that area and is over 1,500 feet long. I've heard as much as 1,800 feet to create this canal. And the problem is the Lake Association is a nonprofit. We don't have the pump capacity, the pipeline capacity, or the funding to pump more, especially in a lake area where the soils drain the lake. You know, we just can't afford that on it. We're already maxed out on our infrastructure.
Roughly, do you guys have any idea how much it would cost to get up to a level where you'd be able to handle a canal coming in?
You know, there have been no studies done on what would actually be required of in the permit application to the Army Corps of Engineers. I believe they only calculated it via surface area. It had nothing to do with the seepage rates, the actual soils in the area, or anything like that. So we have no proof that this concept of a canal even works or how much water it would take. Their permit application said it would take more water. We're very fearful for how much more, and even if we could, I think we're very fearful as a board that there's no way we'd be able to keep up with the demand that would be required to fill a canal like this and the rest of the lake. The McCook Lake Association is in charge of pumping the water into the lake, and we have a couple main fundraising sources. One, we do a membership drive every year. We have an Admiral Stag, and then the city of Sioux City often puts in about $25,000 as well. On a really good year with heavy rains and just great high water tables, our budget is maybe $50,000 a year, but this year we're well over $100,000. So that's, you know, and those are fundraised dollars. So it's knocking on doors and mostly the homeowners, but we don't have an HOA set up because that has to be done before all the land is platted, and these lots have been platted for long before they pumped water into the lake. And a lot of the families that live out here, they're out here for generations. Like they move into their grandparents' house or their parents' house, the house they grew up in, or there's families that have been on the lake for multiple generations just because they love it so much.